After I made a video explaining that the fact that I can't make any sense out of the idea of a timeless, spaceless entity is not an argument against such an entity, Deflating Atheism responded with a video that uses this as its thumbnail.
If logic and mathematical proofs were merely ideas, they wouldn't have any objective demonstrative value at all.
Why not? Why do mathematical descriptions have to have some mind-independent existence in order to be consistent with observation? Why does it need to be anything more than simply consistent between minds?
Unless you grant the existence of an objective exoteric logic that exists whether or not a person believes it, you're kicking the legs out from underneath the very possibility of rational debate.
How? Rational debate is simply examining how to understand each other's ideas, and whether we can understand them. Perhaps you think rational debate is about obtaining some kind of mind-independent truth. It isn't. I don't see how it even could be. Even if there is such a thing as a mind-independent truth, the only way to be sure we've obtained it would be to step outside of our own minds and check. Since that's impossible, I don't see how obtaining mind-independent truth is possible. How the fuck do ideas exist independent of time or space?
Because Euler's identity was true in the Precambrian era, it'll be true in the heat death of the universe, and it's true in Alpha Centauri, and it's true in fucking Shreveport, Louisiana.
So what? As Bertrand Russell said, we now find that a great many things we thought were natural laws are really human conventions. You know that even in the remotest depths of stellar space, there are still 3 feet to a yard. The fact that there are 3 feet to a yard everywhere in the universe does not mean that the notions of feet and yards are not made-up human conventions. Euler's identity is perfectly analogous to this. Mike Rugnetta has a couple of great videos about mathematical fictionalism. The idea that there is no basis on which to say that math has any mind-independent ontology. There's a link to one of those in the description. Euler's identity is true everywhere in the universe in the same sense that the statement Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father is true everywhere in the universe.
Unless logic and mathematics existed independently of time and space, physics would have no ability to model the universe at all.
Why? The universe is time and space. Why would a spatio-temporally contingent set of ideas not be able to form working models of a spatio-temporal universe? Actually, how could ideas which are not essentially spatio-temporal even be effective at modeling a spatio-temporal universe? I don't understand what an idea is if it is not an activity carried out by the brain. And how the fuck can an activity occur without time?
Great, you don't understand. That really doesn't prove anything at all.
How many times am I going to have to explain that this isn't intended to prove anything? I've lost count of how many times I've had to repeatedly spell out to apologists that this is not an argument, and I am not presenting it as an argument. You know this to be the case by now.
Now, I'll grant that an idea can be an activity of the mind, and that this activity of the mind can be an emergent property of a physical system like a brain. But it's incorrect in any case to say that a mental activity is a physical process, as besides the point anyway, since logic and mathematical proofs aren't just ideas, as we've already established.
Then what are they? But I've never understood what it even means to say that Platonic forms exist.
That's it, folks. Atheism is just completely brain dead. They say they don't understand shit, and that's their entire argument. This is their rational position.
No, it's not a position at all. To say that this is our position is a straw man, and you know it's a straw man.
Or the ideas of goodness, or truth, or beauty, or love, or whatever. These are all things that exist, but they exist without a temporal duration or a spatial location.
How are these not brain activities? And how could brain activities occur without temporal duration?
They are entirely not brain activities.
Then what are they?
But they're the kinds of things a mind might apprehend. But hey, if you want to go find the spatial location of the idea of an apple, or tell me how long it lasts for, by all means be my guest.
It's located in people's brains and it lasts for as long as there are brains that hold it.
This guy's rattling off the 4 fundamental forces and arbitrarily redefining them as 4 kinds of causal interactions?
I'm not redefining a fucking thing. That's what they are. The fundamental forces are the fundamental kinds of interaction. All interactions reduce to these 4 interactions.
First off, this is a huge category error, since cause is a philosophical category, not a scientific category.
Is causation an interaction or is it not? If it is, why would it be a category error to reference the 4 fundamental interactions?
Secondly, when we're talking about God being the cause of the universe, obviously God is not a force propagating through a field, because God created forces, and God created fields, and is causally prior to both.
Then what the fuck does it even mean to say that a god caused the universe? What is causation if it isn't some kind of interaction?
Even if we accept your premise that the 4 fundamental forces are somehow 4 fundamental causes,
not causes, causal interactions. They mediate causation.
Your argument still fails. For at least 3 of those fundamental forces, there's an associated carrier particle that propagates through space, so it's the carrier particle that's the proximate cause, and the cause is in every case coincident with its effect. Now there's a hypothesized carrier particle for gravity called the graviton, but even if we don't grant the existence of the graviton, it's still the warped space-time field between 2 particles that's the proximate cause, not the particles themselves.
And there's at least a Planck time in between the action of a carrier particle, or a disturbance in spacetime in the case of gravity, and the reaction of anything else. The actions and the reactions are not instantaneous or coincident.
Also, you said that all these forces propagate at the speed of light. Wrong. The weak nuclear force is mediated by mass particles, so it travels at less than the speed of light.
Yes, I was mistaken there, but rather than detracting from my point that they do not propagate instantaneously, this fact actually reinforces it.
And quantum entanglement is a form of cause and effect that occurs instantaneously across distances, exactly as you said can't happen.
Some physicists believe that there's an interaction here, but many do not. That's why entanglement is not listed among the fundamental interactions. Thanks again, Patreon people.